everyone, I'm Nia Mehri from Viswajyothi CMI Public School. I'm presenting a review of the book 5 on a Treasure Island. 5 on a Treasure Island is the first book in the famous 5 series by Enid Blyton. Enid Blyton was a well-known writer, much beloved to generations of children. She has written the St. Clair series, the Mary Tower series, as well as a whole lot of other books for children of different ages. She wrote beautifully on nature, friendship, adventure and mystery. The book 5 on a Treasure Island was published on 11 September 1942 by Hodder and Stoughton. It is the first adventure that the famous 5 undertake. Julian, who is 12 years old, is the oldest of the 4 and a caring elder brother. 11-year-old Dick is adventurous, fun-loving and has a cheeky sense of humor, but is very caring at heart. George, who is 11 years old, is a complete tomboy and hates being called her real name. She has a fiery temper but is very honest. There is Anne, who is 10 years old, the most feminine of the lot, who enjoys playing with dolls and dresses and is organized and tidy. Last of all, there is Timothy, George's pet dog. He is very energetic all the time and George is very fond of him. They complete the famous 5. The story begins with 3 siblings, Julian, Dick and Anne, wanting to go to a place called Paul's Heath, where they usually go during their vacations. Their dad thinks that they might be able to stay at their Uncle Quentin's house and calls up Aunt Fanny to ask her. Aunt Fanny replies that she would be delighted to have the children, as her own daughter George was lonely and would love to have some friends. In a few days, they go over to the Kirin's cottage at Kirin Bay. Aunt Fanny greets them lovingly and tells them that George had gone off somewhere. They then meet Uncle Quentin. They were scared by his scowling face and resolved to not make him angry. They get to meet George only the next day and discovers that she would like to be addressed as a boy. When Anne called her Georgina, she tells her that she would never respond and would only reply if she called her George. She then storms off after she sees the boys and they too call her Georgina. That day, Uncle Quentin tasked George to take her cousins to the bay. There, they start to like each other. When the siblings see a little island on the bay, they wonder who it belongs to. George tells them that it belongs to her and also tells them about the shipwreck near her island. She then asks them if they could keep a secret and tells them about Timothy. She comes along with a mongrel who she calls Timothy. That afternoon, George decides to take her cousins to the site of the wreck. Once they were over the wreck, Julian, along with George, dived down to check out the wreck but could not explore it properly. George tells them that divers had searched the wreck but had found nothing. They decide to go back. After a few days, George decides to take her cousins to the Kirin Island. She warns them that a storm is brewing, but they row over to Kirin Island. They take more time than expected and the storm began. They take shelter under the old castle. While they were taking turns to pick up dry sticks from the jackdaw's nest to keep the fire going, Julian spots his ship crash into the rocky coast of the island. He quickly calls the others. They recognize it as the wrecked ship and decide to explore it the next morning as waiting for the storm to subside. They wake up at dawn the next morning and explore the wreck. They find a wooden box. They try to open it but cannot, as it seems to be closed very tightly. They return home and try opening it. Finally, they decide to throw it from the attic window. It suddenly opens on the fall and they find a map inside it. An annoyed Uncle Quentin takes the box away. They wait until Uncle Quentin falls asleep and slowly takes it. George recognizes the place as Kirin Castle. It also has the word ingot written where the castle dungeons should have been. They trace the map to keep a copy and softly takes it back to Uncle Quentin's room. A few days later, Uncle Quentin reveals that he sold the box to an antique dealer. The children worry that the buyer might use the map to locate the gold. Uncle Quentin informs them that the antique dealer was paying a good deal of money to buy the island from them. On hearing that, the children decide to stay at the island for a few days to find their path into the dungeons and locate the gold. They finally find it, but Julian and George get trapped inside. Those who held them captive asks George to write a message to the others so that they could be trapped too. George writes the message but signs her name as Georgina. Dick finds this unusual and suspects trouble. He comes up with a plan and shares it with Anne, asking her to stay there. He manages to rescue the two of them, and together they leave the island. Before leaving, George makes sure that the enemy boat's wires are cut down. Once they reach the house, they tell Uncle Quentin and Aunt Fanny about all that had happened. They also tell them about the gold that lay in the dungeon and notifies the police about it. In the end, Uncle Quentin asks George what she wants as he has more than enough money. George tells him that she wants Timmy to stay with them. This is one of my favorite books which characterize friendship and adventure, and I would recommend this to everyone. Thank you.